for today. So if you guys are ready, then we'll go ahead and get started. I do use the chat function quite a bit as well, so just make sure you have that open too, okay? All right, here we go. We're going to jump right on in. I'll start by sharing my screen. Okay, so y'all should be able to see the campus homepage. I'm going to go ahead and start here so you all know how to get to the library's homepage. It is one in the hamburger menu up here in the right-hand corner. You can just go ahead and do that, scroll right down here under academics and click library. That's going to bring you to the library's home screen. It looks a little bit like this. Now, above this giant picture, there is our menu right here, which has a lot of things I like to point out just because it is this kind of grayish color and can kind of go unnoticed, especially if you're scrolling down for other things. One of the things especially to notice is this link right here called services. If you click the little caret to go down, you'll notice that it has quite the extensive menu, including this how-to, which again expands. And you'll notice that that's where you can find how to reserve, how to go to the reserves, how to check out a book, borrow a book from another library. We are a consortia library. That means that you can borrow from any of the CSUs, all 23 campuses. So if there's a book that lives at Cal Poly and you want it, you can get it. It's also how you can renew your book, learn how to print in the library, things like that. So just know that if there's a, like a quick question you want to ask and you're not really sure where to go, this is a great place to start, okay? Additionally, on this page, you'll notice that there is a place where you can get to the hours of the library. We are already open this morning, so you could go in and check out a book or do some studying if you like. And then we are open most days until 10 p.m. If there is a question about a different day, you want to know what time we're open next Wednesday, something like that, you can go ahead and click on View All Hours. That will bring you to the calendar. Now, since today is the last day of the month, it's only displaying that one day from the get-go. But starting tomorrow, it will display our entire month of February, telling you, exactly when everything is open and when everything is closed, okay? So you'll notice we are open every day. The hours just depend on the day of the week. We close a little bit earlier on Friday nights, and then we are open a little bit later on the weekend, than we are on Saturday, on Sunday, to allow y'all to get prepped for those Monday classes. Okay, so if you need to know the hours, that's where they are. I encourage you to kind of explore the library's homepage when you have a minute, kind of go through some things, check out anything you might need. The couple of things that we are going to talk about that are very specifically on the page here, starting with OneSearch. OneSearch is not only our digital catalog for the library, meaning it indexes all of the books that we have. It also has a way for you to search for other things. So if you use this scope or like a pre-filter, you could go ahead and browse for articles, you could browse for newspapers, books, and course reserves. Now, course reserves are going to be items that your professor, depending on the class, may put aside. So if you have a book or a textbook or something that maybe isn't readily available in the bookstore, something like that, they may put a copy aside for limited checkout, meaning 3 hours to 24 hours, so that everyone can kind of have access, especially at the beginning of the semester now, when you might be still kind of getting those textbooks, gathering those materials as you get ready for classes to start. We have books and media. That, of course, is going to browse the books and media, but you'll notice there are 2 of them. One of them is going to be browsing our on-campus collection. One will be browsing every campus, every CSU. Then, of course, newspapers and articles. It's always going to default to everything, but I do want you to know that that does not mean everything in the library. It more means every type of material, okay? Because there could be articles that we own that if you search for them in OneSearch, they will not pop up because they're just not indexed there, meaning in the big long list that we have that's attributed to this search box, they aren't there, which is why I also suggest that you look through the databases for articles as well. So let's just say we wanted to find a book. Let's just go ahead and do a sample search on that. Let's just do healthcare marketing. And I'll go ahead. Oh, we're starting healthcare with a J today. That's interesting. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do healthcare marketing. I'm going to go ahead and use the pre-filter right here, selecting something that I would like to go pull off the shelf or access today. I'll go ahead and hit search. It's going to go ahead and start looking for that for me. The little diamonds tell you it's thinking. Okay, now we do have the name of a journal, not an article, the journal, the magazine itself, Healthcare Marketing Advisor. That might be a good place to look for articles if you wanted to browse through. Then we have our list of books here. Now you'll notice that this one right here, it's telling you exactly where it's located. That also is indicative of the fact that it's physical materials, right? It's telling you what floor it's on and how to find that. Okay, so it's going to be on the 4th floor in the R section, which is where most of our healthcare is. At the library, we use Library of Congress, which means that's how we sort our materials, which means that anything that is healthcare related is going to be in the same section. So one nice thing about that is if you do go onto, you do go and we were to try to find this exact book right here, and it would be at R728, the book to the left of it and the book to the right of it are also going to be about healthcare marketing. So once you find one book, it allows you to go in and browse the stacks and kind of look for things like you would, in a bookstore or something like that. So keep that in mind. These are going to be early in the R section. As you can see, it is R alone. The Library of Congress starts with R alone, but then it goes to RA, RB, RC, RD. So R alone would be very early in the R section. So if you wanted to go up to the 4th floor, you would start the beginning of the R and then follow the number in suit. Another way to access books in our library is digitally. We do have digital books. We increased that 30,000 fold when we went into the pandemic and we were not able to physically access the library. So we went ahead and, kind of created a larger online access, which the nice thing now is that if you don't have the time or the transportation or what have you to get into the library, you could still check out a book. You would just select one that is online only. So we have one of these right here, Marketing Matters for a Guide for Healthcare Executives. You would then just click on online access. That would take you to the vendors page, and that would allow you to go ahead and view or download the PDF of that book, depending on the different vendors kind of allow different things. Okay. If you wanted to, you could use the filters over here, allowing you to browse by what kind of material it is. For example, this is books and media, which means that there's videos too. You could sort by publication date. You could use any of the filters over here on the left-hand side to kind of narrow that search. Okay. All right, so that's kind of how to browse through one search in a nutshell. I would do the same thing if I was looking for an article. I would just go ahead and put in my my subject matter, and I would go ahead and change this instead to articles to kind of limit my search a little bit. Now that was a lot of information. And like I said, I tend to talk a lot and talk fast. So I'm going to take a little brief moment here. We talked about the hours of the library, the physical library itself. We talked about, how to get to books, how to browse for books. Are there any questions from the get-go? For example, is there anything about the physical library you have a question about? One of the floors, anything like that? Feel free to, hop on the mic and ask, or if you prefer rather in the chat, go ahead and do that. I'm just going to take like 1 minute. We're going to sit here uncomfortably for 1 minute while we think of questions to ask Michelle. Okay, so 1 minute.
I had a question.
Yeah, go for it.
I was just wondering if I were to go to be in a location where another CSU was, would I be able to check out books there in person, or is it only online?
Excellent question. It depends on the other universities. Sometimes there are, allowances where if you were to go in and say, I am, a CSU, they would allow you to do that. It depends on the university you'd be visiting. So it kind of depends on their rules, but what you can do is the other thing that you could do was you could go into, let's say you're in San Marcos and you wanted to check out a book. You could, and you find that book at the San Marcos library. One thing you could do was you could go into our library and request that book. Then San Marcos would ship it to Long Beach and you could just check it out from us. And then that would basically be, you wouldn't check it out physically in their library. You'd have to wait for it to get to us, but that would be another way to access the materials. It was Emma that asked that question. Is that right?
Yes.
Emma, does that make sense?
Thank you very much.
Oh, sure thing, of course. Okay, and there was another one that came in the chat, I think. Let's see, I'm not sure if I stepped out. I mean, maybe it's early, but which floors are quiet and which ones are more for group work? Okay, essentially almost every floor of the library is zoned for group work. We are down to one quiet floor, that is the 4th floor. And pretty much the entirety of the 4th floor is what we kind of refer to as a quiet floor, but what I think the patrons would refer to as a silent floor, because they really don't want any sound whatsoever. We get complaints downstairs sometimes about people like highlighting too loud on that floor. So they take it very seriously, but if you need that, then that is a great place to go. Otherwise, any floor is open to collaborative work, group work. But I do tend to find that the 1st and the 3rd floors don't get very loud. I'd call them like medium, right? They are they're not technically silent, but nobody gets really loud down there on either of those. The 5th and the lower level, what is technically the basement, but we call it the lower level, those 2 floors tend to get a little louder, 5th floor being the loudest. So if you want that kind of, buzz around you, then the 5th floor is the place to go. Alejandra, does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, no problem. Any other questions about the physical library or anything about checking out books, anything at all?
Hi, good morning, Michelle. So is there a librarian for every major? I didn't
Yes.
realize.
Oh, excellent question. I should have said that. Yes, excellent question. Was that Eric? Yes. So every department has their own librarian. I cover 6 departments, which are health science, healthcare administration, kinesiology, nursing, physical therapy, and women's and genders and sexuality studies. So those are my departments, but there is a librarian for every department on campus. We have an English librarian, an arts librarian, a biology librarian, a math librarian. So if you have a research topic or a question that is very subject specific, like sometimes, a lot of times our history students need those primary sources, things like that. Then our history librarian, they have that expertise in that area. So a lot of times they're the best person to talk to regarding things like that. Great question. I should have said that, really. Okay, any other questions? Great questions. I love questions. Okay, one thing also to note, if you do decide to check out a book, you would take that book down to the 1st floor. All you need is your student ID and the book itself. You'd go to the big long desk that's on the way to the coffee shop near those pillars where we have the graffiti pens. So you could do those right there. And then you can check out up to 50 books for the semester, and you get those for 16 weeks. That's the entirety of the semester. Okay. All right. So if we are ready to move on, I would like you to just say okay in the chat, meaning that you are okay to start talking about other things. Let me know.
Hi, Michelle. Sorry, I had one
Yeah.
question I just thought about right now.
Yeah,
For the
go for it.
online books, if you rent the online books, how long can you rent them out for? Or how are the online books normally available?
Well, Maya, that's a great question. It is a little tricky because those are dependent on the vendor. Most of them should be 16 weeks as well, though. There are a couple of vendors that shorten that just a little bit. So it's going to depend on what vendor, because it's not physical materials. It all depends on the platform in which we get those digital materials. So it's a little bit, it can be a little bit different there, but the majority of them are for the semester as well.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. I love questions. Great question. Okay, so now, if we are okay to move on, do me a favor, type okay in the chat, and that lets me know that we can start talking about other things. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. And we're going to go ahead and go back to the library. Now we are here still in OneSearch. Now, whenever I want to go back to the start, I go ahead and go up here to the left-hand corner and just hit University Library. That brings me back to the start. Now, we did just spend a lot of time talking about OneSearch, so I hope you feel that we've covered that. The other thing that we're going to talk about is kind of the bread and butter of a lot of the research that we do, and that is accessing articles and journals. And now we usually do that through our databases. Now, databases, you can kind of think of them as containers of information or stores where you would go to get something. You can access those in multiple ways. One of them is to, strangely, click on the databases link, Now that's going to bring you to an alphabetical list of our databases. We have 334 of them. Now, similar to shopping in a store, there's going to be databases that are kind of specific to a type of thing, right? We have shoe stores, we have grocery stores. So we have shoe stores, we have grocery stores. That's going to be kind of how you could go ahead and think about databases. We have databases that are specifically towards, certain types of materials, certain types of journals. They're going to be like health journals or business journals, both of which might be interesting to you all as healthcare administration students. Then we have other ones that are more like your target of databases. They're multidisciplinary. They carry a little bit of everything. And one of those is Academic Search Complete, which you can see right here. Now, using Academic Search Complete as a, kind of as an example, you'll notice that there's all these little icons after it. It lets you know it's one of our most popular databases. This little O next to it means that the articles that are in Academic Search Complete are also in OneSearch. It allows you, you can use EndNote with this database, things like that. So those are just kind of what those mean. But most importantly, there's a little I that will tell you like the definition of that one. And it'll let you know what that what that database is all about. Okay. Now, if you find this list overwhelming, because it is 334, and maybe you don't want to scroll through all of it to try and find the one that's special for you. Okay. That's when I recommend you go ahead and you go back to Library Home. And instead, you start here with the research guides. Okay. So now, if you're zoning out right now, I encourage you to tune back in because you're going to need this for our tiny assignment today. Okay. So that is when you are looking for the Healthcare Administration Research Guide, you're going to start at the library homepage. You're going to click on Research Guides. And then you're going to scroll down. These are sorted by subject. And again, we have one that every librarian has done for each subject. And we'll go ahead and scroll down to, of course, our class for today, which is Healthcare Administration. And very important, we're going to click on this upper link, not the yellow box. This is a subject homepage, not the research guide. So we want the research guide, so we're going to click on that right there. Now, when we click on that, it's going to bring you to the Healthcare Administration page. It has a menu over here on the left-hand side. Okay. So again, we got here by going to the library homepage, clicking on Research Guides, and then selecting Healthcare Administration. Okay, so now there's a lot of stuff here that basically I have collected in one spot for you to avoid you needing to go all over the place to try and get any of the information that you might need. So for example, there's health statistics. Should you need any demographic information, that can be here for you. There's some tutorials. Maybe you've forgotten everything that we talked about today and you just need a quick refresher. There's those here. We can talk about APA. There's a whole guide to a lot of links where you can access APA, including Purdue and other places. So one of the most popular things that we're going to be doing today is to go ahead and go to those find articles and databases. So it's the number one thing on the menu right here. And so I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Now, when I do that, instead of bringing me to those 300, and I think it's 34 right now, databases, it brings you to a selection that I have created of just databases that I think you would need. Okay. So for example, we have our top databases, including Academic Search Complete, but also Business Source Premier and CINAHL. Then we have IBIS World that's going to have like industry reports. Emergent has market reports, things like that. Anything that I think that you might need for this subject, I've placed here. Okay. So let's go ahead and start with Academic Search Complete. I love this one because it's put out by a vendor called EBSCO. And one thing that I like about this one is that by using this one, which is multidisciplinary, so it's another one of those like targeted databases, by using this one, I'm also telling you how to use any of these that have this blue dot next to it. Okay, and we have about 40 of them in the library that are going to look and act the same. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on Academic Search Complete, and we'll go ahead and take a look at that. Okay, so here we are, we're at Academic Search Complete. Maybe some of you have seen this screen before. It's got our nice tidy 3 boxes that we can look at, and then we can go ahead and start our search. Now, choosing keywords for your search is quite important because you want to make sure, you just put in whatever and search for whatever. But if you're a little bit deliberate about it, sometimes it can make a difference in the articles that you pull back. Okay. So for example, if we wanted to, let's talk about social media and marketing at a hospital. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put in social media. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and put in marketing. And then I'm going to go and put in hospital. Okay. And now I'll just go ahead and do the first one first. If you just wanted to start here, that's great. I encourage you to start with 2 to 3 terms. Anything more to that can get too specific. Anything less than that can get too broad. So there's a reason why we have 3 boxes, right? Okay, so I'll go ahead and hit search. And it brought up 361 articles. Okay, great. Now I could be saying to myself, this seems like a lot of articles. This is great. Okay, so, but one thing I like to do first is I like to throw my net out the widest to make sure that I'm gathering any possible article that might work for me. And one thing, you know, when you're thinking about doing these searches and when you're composing your research, you really want to consider not only terms that you would use to search for something, but terms that others and perhaps the authors that wrote these articles might use to describe that topic. Okay. So for example, if I'm talking about social media, can anybody tell me, just go ahead and hop on the mic or drop it in the chat, either is fine with me. Can anybody tell me another term you might use that could replace the term social media? Or even a specific kind? I know you guys use these. They're on your phone. Instagram, yes, thank you. What else? Apps, sure, yeah, I'd take apps. Why not? Connection network, sure. What else? How about any other specific kinds of social media? Twitter, yes. I think hospitals actually generally, that's probably their primary one. TikTok, I mean, maybe. LinkedIn, sure. What else? YouTube, yep. Okay, so each one of these is a variant of social media. And here's why we have to think this way. So if it's an article that says, you know, blah, blah, blah hospital, you know, uses Twitter to, you know, market to new donors or something, I don't know. So because it's using the word Twitter, not the word social media, it's specifically looking for that word. It doesn't make assumptions. Google Analytics knows to make those assumptions. So when you search for something in Google, it's automatically mapping to all of these other words. Okay. The databases do not do that. And they do not do that on purpose. They don't want to pull back things you don't want. It just wants more instruction. Okay. So we want to make sure that we are using all different kinds of words so that when we're looking for things, we can go ahead and pull back basically anything that might be related. Okay, so let's go back to our search and kind of tweak it a little bit. Okay, go back to my search. Give it 1 second to load here. Okay, so if I were to go ahead and put in social media, I'm going to go ahead and put in or, because that's the Boolean operator of what I'm going to be doing. And I'm going to go ahead and say, let's see, which one do we like the best? I like this one right here because this seems the most hospital related. Okay, so I'm being deliberate on which one I'm picking. I'm saying social media or social networking sites, Facebook or Twitter, Instagram or Snapchat. So I'm just going to go ahead and select that one. Okay, I'm going to say marketing or advertising, promotion or branding. That one looks good. And then I'm going to say hospital or same thing. Okay, healthcare facility. All right, now I didn't really change the topics, but I just changed the vocabulary that I'm using to describe it. And each time I use this tiny little word or. Okay, now or is important because you're letting it know that you're saying to the database that this word or this word from this list is okay. So basically pick one of these words and one of these words and one of these words. Okay, all right, so I'll go ahead and hit search. And when I do that, because I'm being more flexible with my vocabulary, it should bring back more articles. Okay, so we're starting with 361. Let's go ahead and hit search and see if it changes. I mean, just a little. It increased just a little bit. Now it's 1,637. Okay, but you could be saying to yourself, Michelle, okay, like slow your roll. I do not need to be reading 1,637 articles. Okay, noted. So here's when we can think about narrowing our search. Okay, we just broadened it. Now let's try narrowing it. I could narrow it by adding another term. I could say maybe I only want to, do something that's in in the US. So I could say that. I go ahead and hit search. By having there be another requirement, it's going to bring down that number a little bit. Okay, so I just removed half of them about, but I can also refine my results over here on the left-hand side. So for example, for my assignment, I want to make sure that they are peer reviewed. I don't want something that's been published in Women's Day magazine, right? So I want to make sure it's been peer reviewed. So I'm going to go ahead and select peer reviewed. Maybe I want to make sure that it's been published in the last 5 years. So I'm going to go ahead and change the date to, let's just say, say 8 years. So I'll say 2015. Okay, so I'll hit search, and now that's going to update. It's going to be removing anything that's older. Okay, so I'll scroll down, see if there's any other filters I want to use. One that I always like to use, I'm limited in that I can only fluently read English. So I like to make sure that I just make sure that anything I'm pulling back is in a language I can read. It's just something I like to do. I like to avoid being disappointed later. Okay, so now I have told it that I want it having one of all of these words. I have made sure that it's peer reviewed, published in the last 8 years, and in a language I can read. So now I'm going to go ahead and look at them. But you could be saying, but Michelle, it's still 423. Look, that's okay. Once you have applied all of the filters that you want to it, once you've entered all of your terms and you feel like those are the good, best terms, don't worry about that number too much. Right now, it is sorted by relevance. It'll tell you that right here. I mean, I could change that if I wanted to, but I usually like to leave it at relevance because that means that the articles that are most relevant to the terms that I've selected are going to float to the top. Anything that's less related is going to float to the bottom. Okay, which means that number 423 may not be about as about hospitals as I want or something. So I probably will never get all the way down to number 423. The top 100 or so may be all that I need for my assignment. Okay, so we can go ahead and start looking at our results now, because that's really what we're doing all of this for, right? We're composing the search to find the articles. So you can see that we have like our top, 10 right here. You can see automatically that some of them, kind of put their images in the results list, things like that. So let's go ahead and start with that one, because let's see, it makes you sit and think where you're going to go. Veteran experiences in virtual whole health peer-led groups. Okay, but here it says social networks. So let's go ahead and look at that one. I've never seen that article before. Let's go take a look. Okay, so excuse me. So you'll go ahead, and when I go to look for an article, I click on the article's title for a very specific reason. I want to make sure that this abstract right here, the summary, is about what I want it to be about. Is this article going to actually cover the topic that I need? So I check that first before I go ahead and hit the PDF full text and go ahead and grab this article. Now, the majority of the time, that PDF full text is going to be on the left-hand side. Sometimes it says PDF, sometimes it says HTML. That's just telling you how the full text is presented. Here is, we have, all of the authors listed here, experts in their field. We have the abstract, we have the conclusion, all of the introduction. We have a beautiful graph, actually. We're going down, we're going to have lots of charts and graphs and things. All of these are looking very academic and scholarly to me because we selected that peer-reviewed option, right? We're making sure that this is a peer-reviewed article, therefore we know it's appropriate to use for our assignment, okay? But sometimes it's not as easy as all of this. It's a little bit harder to go in and find the full text. This one was easy. The PDF was right there. So let's go ahead and find one that's not that easy. That way you're prepared when you find one of those. Okay, so let's go to this first one. You'll notice that it's not there, and I'm going to go ahead and click on the title. I'm going to make sure that it's something that I want. I'm going to go ahead and look at the abstract, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but now we'll notice that the PDF is missing. Now, how many of y'all have been like searching for something, you end up on a publisher's page and they're asking you to buy the article? Has anybody, thumbs up if that's happened to you? Yeah, I mean, it happens kind of a lot, especially like I feel like when I'm in Google Scholar, it happens a lot. So let me ask you all this. When that's happened to you, does anybody recall how much money they asked you to pay for those articles? It's usually kind of what I deem to be a lot. $15. Oh, I feel like that's not even, I feel like that's like a cheaper one. I feel like that's on the cheaper side. Anybody else? On average, I see between, I just ended up searching for another option. Good. Never, yes, do that. But usually I see between $50 for like a day. Yes, Eric, that's exactly what I usually see. I usually see between 30 and like 60 or $70. That's generally what I see for one article. Okay. So I want to take a moment, heart-to-heart moment, because here's what we're going to do. You guys should not ever have to purchase an article. Okay. Life is expensive. School is expensive. Inflation is happening, right? So what I want to do is I want you guys to make me a promise right now by typing promise in the chat. I want y'all to promise me that you will never, ever, 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 ever pay for an article. Okay. Never pay for an article. Let me do that for you. Let me go ahead and show you how you can find them for free. If we don't have it, I will go buy it for you. Okay, I mean, not me personally, the library, but I will show you how you can make the library do it. I mean, maybe I would, maybe I would, but I'm saying never purchase them yourself. Okay. It's the library's responsibility to provide you with your research. So let's have us do that. So the reason why I'm going on the soapbox right now is because I want you guys to know ways that you can get around this kind of position we get put in when we're searching for something and they're asking us to pay for it. Okay. All right. So thank you for all your promises. Pinky promises forever. All right. So here we go. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. I'm going to show you how we can avoid being in that situation. Okay. So we're going to go back to sharing my screen. One way to avoid that, because we don't see the PDF, it might be, you might be tempted to click away at this moment, right? Go look for something else. Before you do that, do me one favor, and that is click on this Get It at CSULB box, okay? This Get It at CSULB box acts as your personal shopper to go and see if maybe one of the other databases that we have actually has that article living in it. Because right now, what this is telling you is that Academic Search Complete, one of our databases, does not have this article, okay? But maybe one of our other databases does. So let's allow it to go kind of be your personal shopper, and we'll go ahead and click for that. So I'll go ahead and click on that. It's gonna go check all the other 300 plus databases to see if it just happens to live somewhere else, okay? Okay, so it's telling me to sign in for more options. It frequently forgets who you are. Just okay, hold on one second. This happens all the time. It even happens to me. Okay, let's see. I'll go ahead and hit sign in. Now it has me signed in. Hooray, hooray. So now it's saying search for an open access copy or search for a Google Scholar copy. Okay, so it has looked in all of the other databases and it could not find a copy. So here is where, this is a perfect example to show you, here is where all of that the free things happen. Okay, there's a couple of things that I could do. I could search for it in Google Scholar. Okay, by just clicking right here, okay, which is what I recommend you do first and what we'll do in 1 second. Now, if it does not have it, the next step would be, look, you can request the copy. It's easy peasy. You just click this Get It button. And if we don't have it, we will go get it for you. And right now it is delivering the estimate. The delivery estimate is within 24 hours. Okay, and it will be emailed to you. Okay, so you don't have to go out and purchase these articles. We will go buy them from the other libraries and we will send them to you. Okay. First things first, though, do check Google Scholar first. So let's go ahead and check Google Scholar for a copy. Okay, so now I've done what's called a known item search in Google Scholar. I'm a big fan of Google Scholar because I think it is a terrific search engine. So you'll notice that when it did its search, it did it very specifically. It has the title right here, okay, and it put quotation marks around it. Now take note that those quotation marks are actually speaking to the database of Google Scholar very carefully. It's saying to the search engine, hey, I want to make sure that these words stay together like a long string. So that can make a difference when you're, kind of doing a search if you want to keep words together. Okay. And so, for example, when you're doing it for a title, this works out. Okay. Now, this one is probably not available just yet, maybe because sometimes they put a hold on things for the first year or 6 months that they're out because they want you to buy it. So that could be why this one isn't coming up for free at our library. Just a little note that sometimes when they're new, that sometimes happens. But that doesn't mean that we can't go get it for you, right? So we could go and get this one because in Google Scholar, it does not appear to be available. A couple of things in Google Scholar to note. Here is our cite button. Okay, so I'm okay with citation generators as long as you know that a lot of times they're a little incorrect. So let's go ahead and click on this one. This one basically is looking correct to me. It's just missing the DOI, right? So this one right here would be mostly correct. You could probably sort of kind of use that one. Okay, so keep that in mind when you are using citation generators. Okay, also in Google Scholar, you have the ability to use Google Scholar on its own as long as you tie it to the library. Okay, so we're going to do a little pitch for Google Scholar here, and that is that if I am looking for social media and hospitals, okay, so I'll go ahead and do my search. Now you'll notice over here on the right-hand side, well, who is that but our favorite little Get It guy, okay? And that is appearing because I have tied my Google Scholar account to our library. That way, when I'm looking for something, like let's just say this article right here, and I want to click on it, it will bring me a copy. It'll bring me a copy that is provided to me by the library, okay? So let me go ahead and show you how to create that relationship. Okay, so here I am in Google Scholar. You will go ahead and go to the menu, then you'll go to settings, and then library links. Now, I just set this up where I wanted to make sure that I was tied to the library. So I went ahead and entered CSU Long Beach like this. Then I went ahead and went search and save. Okay, because then it allows me to be tied to up to 5 libraries. Now it uses the example of Harvard. I mean, if you have a library card or an ID for Harvard, great. So, then you could put in Harvard, because I do have students say, well, can I just use Harvard's library? Well, it really depends on, where you would be able to authenticate yourself. So if you are a member to multiple libraries, you can tie all of them here, okay? So just keep that in mind. You can go ahead and do that for CSU Long Beach. And then that way, when you are doing a search, it will show you ways that you can access them through our library. Always use this right-hand side column because it will bring you to the library's copy, whereas sometimes these over here are going to bring you to that publisher's copy, and then you'll end up in that kind of area where they're asking you to pay for things. So we want to avoid that. Again, we're going for the free copy. We want to be over here on the right-hand side. Okay. Okay, so let's go back. That's a little bit about Google Scholar. We talked about, Academic Search Complete or using a standard database like this one right here. When you are in a standard database like Academic Search Complete, it has citation generators too. You could use that here. It's the cite button right here. It's going to pop up the same thing right here. It's going to show you how to get to it. You scroll down to here's APA 7th edition. Keep in mind that these can be inaccurate. They are trying to improve them all the time. So for example, this one right here happens to be correct. So you could go ahead and use this one, but you're gonna want to check that, okay? So you could be saying to yourself, but Michelle, like, how can I check it? Okay, so now we're gonna go all the way back to the start, okay? Here we are, once again, our jumping off point for the day, which was the Healthcare Administration Research Guide. Again, I got to this by going to the library homepage, clicking on research guides, and then going for our subject today, which is healthcare administration. You'll notice that there is also a tab in addition to articles, there is one for citing and writing. When I click on that, it'll give you some writing advice as well as access to a lot of the APA information should you need to check it. Now, I personally am the type of person that instead of freehand writing them, I will go and pull them from a citation generator and then grade them like they're a 3rd grade spelling paper. Okay, so I will go ahead and do that by using something like this one right here under helpful websites. It's the last one from Northwest Missouri State. When I click on that one and then access articles, it gives me a color-coded, perfect version that I can use as an example. I'm a very visual person, so having this visual representation works for me, but please find whichever version works for you, yeah? Okay, so I am going to stop sharing. Or am I still sharing? No, yeah, okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Okay, there we go. Okay, so how are we doing out there? Are we feeling okay with what's been happening? We're feeling, I like the thumbs up, very good. We're feeling okay.
Michelle, can you tell them, you mentioned EndNotes a while ago, and can you just tell them what that is? Because, you know, I didn't realize the library provided that, you know, because I remember when I was in grad school, I had to pay for that thing and it was not cheap.
No, it is not. No, it is not. So EndNote is what we call a bibliographic manager. So EndNote is basically something that you can feed all of your citations into, and it will build your reference list for you. It's, you know, there is a learning curve to it. Let me go ahead and share my screen again. There is a learning curve to it. Let me find, let's see. Let me find where we have it here. Let me go back to citing and writing. We do have, I believe at the bottom here, here is the where you can click on EndNote. It's a citation manager. So you could click on it here. You do have to create a login. I suggest creating a login based on a home email address, not a school email address. That way, after you graduate, you can still access it. So that's what I would recommend doing. And then you can kind of put things in there and go ahead and you can build that reference list. There is a learning curve to it though. So I always suggest you use it maybe if you have more than 8 or 10. Otherwise, if there's fewer than 10, I feel like going ahead and putting them in is almost easier. But there is videos and tutorials for EndNote within the library. And you know what, Linda, I'll go ahead and add one of those videos. I'll make myself a note. We have the videos within our pages, but I'll go ahead and put one here. So if they want to learn how to do it, it'll be easy to find for them. Okay.
Yeah, that's great. I know that this class doesn't have probably anything that would require that many individually, but some of my classes do. But I remember that as you were writing your paper, you had to fill out the information on each article, and then in the end, it would create that. Is that how it still is?
No, I mean, it depends. Most of the databases will download it into EndNote for you.
Okay,
Like
well,
you
that's
can
great.
just click it. And it's, you know, you have to go find where that will download, select the right download file, and then put it into EndNote. So like I said, there is a little bit of a learning curve, but it's not hard. It just,
Right.
you just need to be trained how to do it, right? It's not difficult. It's just, you know, you just
It's
have to know.
time consuming at the time, but then,
Yes,
you know, and
but
when
then
you're
it's
doing a
easy.
dissertation, you know, with
Yeah,
5,000
exactly. Yeah, if you had
yeah.
1,000, if you had 1,000 references, yeah. No, like,
Yeah.
so when I write an article and I've got like 40 of them, I use it because I like to, it keeps track of them, will alphabetize them for me, things like that. So, okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk a little bit about a little assignment I have for you. Okay, it's going to take about 20 minutes. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again, because this is what it's going to look like. Okay, so it's right here. It's basically, we can make it bigger. We can make it cool. We can, you know, this is your Zoom escape room. Okay, we're going to put you into breakout rooms. All right, and each of the breakout rooms is going to be in charge of one slide. That is one slide per room. Okay, so the first couple of slides in this slide deck are instructional. They're reminding you how to get to health science or the healthcare administration research guide. Okay. So now you go, but if you've been paying attention, that should be easy peasy, right? So the real bread and butter of it is this type of slide right here. So if you're in breakout room 1, you're going to go to group room 1 slide, okay? And then any place where there's basically a line, you're going to fill it in. So what database did you decide to use? You can use Academic Search Complete, you can use CINAHL, you can use Business Source Premier, whatever you want to use, you could go ahead and put it in there. And then it would be what words did you use, like those synonyms that we were building originally. And then right here, you'll use one of those citation generators to go ahead and paste the name of the article that you find that's about your topic here. Okay, so basically this is just a checklist of all the things you need to do before you leave the room, before you escape your escape room. Okay, there is also a jigsaw puzzle that's kind of fun. Sound on for that one because there's very satisfying clicky noises. But each one of these is a slightly different question, so make sure that you are in the right room. I always suggest that you have kind of one person being the typist, kind of going in and doing all of the things, you know. We can make sure that we can share screen so y'all can share with each other. You can have that up there and you can, you know, work together to do that, or not. It's whatever works for you. Okay, are there any questions about the assignment itself before I drop it in the chat? Any questions? No questions? Okay, everybody understands what the assignment is? It's basically going to be walking through the steps that we just did. Yeah, you're all good, thank you. You're all going to be walking through the steps we just did, just you're going to be doing it yourself. I always feel like it's always best to do this right after I've said something, so that way later you will have already done the actual process of walking through these steps, yeah? Okay, one also fun note, extra credit, invisible extra credit, because I can't really grade you for anything. Invisible extra credit, in a way, yes, Michaela, you will be presenting this in a way because I'll be going and reading all of this, but you all don't have to do any talking if you don't want to. I mean, we could have it if you want to talk, we could do that, but I won't force you to. And invisible extra credit for a funny group name. I'm just saying, it makes it more fun. Come up with a fun group name. I mean, the example says awesome awesomeness, so, you know, obviously I take this super seriously. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and drop the Google Doc of the slides, the Google slide deck into the chat right here. So make sure that you can access that before you go into your breakout room, okay? Because, or else you might not be able to access this chat thread. Okay, and so now I'm gonna go ahead, and if everybody's ready, I'm gonna go ahead and put you into 5 breakout rooms, yeah? Okay, okay, thank you for the thumbs up, appreciate the feedback. Last chance to say, no, I'm not ready. Okay, all right, everybody's ready. All right, we're gonna go into breakout rooms. Again, breakout room 1, slide 1, breakout room 5, slide 5, etc., etc. Okay, okay, here we go. And away we go.
And I'm talking on mute. Okay, super. I just, I'm talking to myself. I just turned the recording back on.
Oh, perfect. Okay. I mean, we've got to leave it on mute, like at one time during the class, or else it wouldn't be a normal class, right?
You're right about that. I do it all the time. But I guess I'm glad it has that, because a lot of times, you know, I think I'm muted and I'm not, you know, and so, because, you know, I had one headset that I could tell it to unmute on the headset. I got rid of it because I would do it accidentally.
All right, it looks like almost everybody's back, so I'll go ahead and close the rooms. Okay, I think almost everybody was back anyway.
Yeah, it looks like it. There's only like 2 missing, maybe.
Yeah, let's go. Okay, how is everybody doing? Did everybody enjoy the escape room? Is that kind of fun? Did everybody have their volume on for the jigsaw puzzle? So you got that very satisfying clicky noise when the pieces went together. Anybody satisfying clicky noises? Yes, that was fun. Yes, good. Okay. I don't know why I find that clicky noise so satisfying, but I truly do. I truly do. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to look at that slide deck that y'all just created so we can kind of see how everything went. Okay. So I'll go back to sharing my screen one last time. Let's see. Go ahead and go right there. Okay. Okay, so here we go. We will, you know what, we're going to go in reverse order because it's already on room 5. Okay, so we're going to start with room 5, who are called, we'll call them Jojna, right? But Jojna. Okay, and they were talking about sleep quality and the academic achievements of high school students. It looks like they were able to find an article that's related. That looks great. They completed the jigsaw puzzle. And one thing that they learned today was that they don't have to pay access for articles for research. If we do need to pay, the school will do it for us. Yes, free articles. We love that. Way to go, room 5. Excellent. All right, so let's moving right along. Let's go up to room 4. Room 4 was talking about telehealth and nursing shortages. Looks like they were able to find an article that was related. And they also would like to say that the one thing that they learned about today was to never buy articles. See, I love it. We're gonna make that happen every single time. Well done, group 4. Way to go, way to go. Okay, then we have group 3, and they were talking about chocolate milk and muscle recovery. Looks like they were able to find an article that's related. Well done. They finished their jigsaw puzzle as well. And it says one thing that they learned about today was that important to have accurate keywords in your search in order to get the results you need for your research. Yes, exactly. Those keywords can really make you or break you. I love that that's your takeaway. Way to go, room 3. Excellent, excellent. All right, so now we have room 2. They call themselves the Terrible Twos. They were looking at the exercise impact on depressed middle-aged women. They were able to find an article that's related, and they completed the jigsaw puzzle as well. And the one thing that they learned about today was you can use the database to check if your APA format is correct. Yes, we always want to make sure that we're using correct APA format. Way to go, room 2. Excellent, excellent. And last but not least, we have the beach bums. And they were talking about therapy dogs and children in the hospital. They were able to find an article that is related. And the one thing that they learned today was that they can borrow books from other CSU libraries. Yes, you can. Way to go, way to go. Excellent. Well done, everyone. Okay, so a couple of things to note before I let you run away is don't be a stranger, okay? If you need me, I am available to you. We can make an appointment. We can do it over the phone. We can, do it via email. If you have a research question, I am here for you. I'm going to go ahead and drop my email address into the chat. There it is right there. It is just my name at csulb.edu. Additionally, if you can't find me anywhere, you can go ahead and find me right here on the research guide. Over here on the left-hand side, you'll notice contact your librarian. That will also directly go to me. Another thing to note is if you are in the library and you need help, you can always go down to the reference desk. You don't need an appointment. It's on the first floor. You can just walk up and ask an appointment. If you're not on campus and you need help from a librarian and you can't seem to locate me for some reason, there is a little chat box at the bottom, Ask a Librarian. That will give you access to a librarian 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's right, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. A librarian will be there for you. So we are always here for you. I care about you and your success. So whatever you need to be successful, we will try to do that, okay? So you just let me know what you need and we will work through it, yeah? Okay, any questions before you run away? Oh, Linda, you're muted.
Again, number 3, Maya says thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. All right, y'all. Well, if you see me on campus or welcome week today, don't be a stranger. Come up, say hi, and have a great semester. And again, reach out if you need me, okay?
Thanks so much, Michelle. We really appreciate it.
All right, and Linda, I'll see you tonight.
Sounds good. Okay.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Okay, y'all are good except Eric. If you could hang on for a minute, when everybody else is gone, I have to ask you something about the student forum. If you got a second. Okay, everybody else, have a good week. We don't meet on Thursday. So you've got your assignments. I left the quizzes open for those of you that were having issues with the digital book. So if there's still more issues, y'all be sure and let me know so that I can, if I need to intervene, I will with Jones and Bartlett. Okay, have a great week.
Thank you, Professor.
Okay. All right, Eric, just quickly, it's not anything personal. And Olu, I see him, you can stay too, because I know you're like an officer also. Kimberly told me y'all were going to meet with Dr. Erliana, And I wondered if y'all done that or if you need my help to get that together.
Yes, we're meeting with her Wednesday at 3:30.
At 3:30. Are you doing it by Zoom?
We're actually gonna meet her in person.
Oh, you are? Okay. All right. All right. Sounds good. Okay. I just wanted to check and be sure. And this is you're gonna be meeting about the sashes and about the what else? There's sashes and and the end of the school year thing, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Okay. I will try to get there, and if I don't have another meeting scheduled, because I'd like to see what's going on also, in case y'all need my help in something.
No, yes, we greatly appreciate it. I know you're like right next door, right, Professor Martinez?
I am. My office is right next door when I'm there. In fact, my office, but I'm definitely gonna, make, I can't imagine why I can't be there. I don't think I have anything on my schedule, so I should be there also. I just wanted to check and be sure because I hadn't heard back from y'all. So yeah, they did a great job Friday. I'm sorry I couldn't be there. I really wanted to, but I had another meeting that extended over. So, but the minutes were great, and I just had those few questions that I sent back, and that was it. Otherwise, y'all did great. I'm so proud of y'all. Y'all are doing really super.
Thank you, Professor. We appreciate it.
Okay. All right. Well, then we'll see you on Wednesday.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Professor Martinez.
Yes, ma'am. I saw you drop my class, Miss Maya.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that. That's why I kind of like stayed behind. I really, really thought about it, and I wanted to be like really honest with myself, to like just as much as I really wanted to, I just know for sure what I would be learning. I guess I wouldn't be able to like really learn the way that I want to learn, I guess, if that makes any sense. Not because of you, it's more because of me, because I feel like it would just be like very rushed for me as far as like the information that I'm taking in, and then I would feel like I would just end up not really truly learning. If I don't know if that makes any sense.
It makes a lot of sense to me. Okay. And I know what all is on your plate. And selfishly, I want you involved with Student Forum also.
I do. I really want, and that's another thing too, because like I really do want to be involved, and like like thankfully like I have you, and then everybody's been like really kind. And this would be like my first time actually getting involved like with the campus, and because it that would also be like a new experience for me. Then I feel like I want to be able to like do both and still be able to learn as much as I can, or like at least how when you said like setting myself up for failure, like that's my worst nightmare.
Right. And I'm so against that. I've been in your boat. I've been in that same boat that you're in. I think you work full time. You have kids too, right?
I don't, but
okay.
Like my job is, because I told you like I'm an assistant hospital manager at a veterinary hospital.
Right.
Right now, the actual manager, she's going on maternity leave, so I'm basically going to be in charge of everything she does, and it's a pretty big animal hospital. It's like 50 associates.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah. So right now, like I just got more, I guess like a little bit more responsibility, which I can still handle it. But as far as like the timing goes for like certain assignments, like I know it'll be a little bit tough, just because like once I get off, I come home, like I take care of my pets, and then like I start studying or like doing homework. That's why you saw when I was emailing so late.
Right. Well, you'll see emails from me at 3 a.m,
yeah.
So I understand.
Yeah, and it's normally because I'm still up at that time, just catching up on like my assignments and or like reading and stuff. But then I was really, really trying to like look at all the other classes that I'm taking too, and then like trying to be a part of like UPD or like Student Forum, or trying to be more involved. And then I feel like if I took all of those, then I wouldn't really have the time to be more involved. But I really do want to be more involved while I have you, and while I have like even Kim and Eric too, because just because they're almost, I think, graduating this semester.
They are. Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh my God, like I really want to be able to at least get to know all of you like well enough before even before they leave the campus as well, just
Right.
because I know that you can all like guide me where I really want to head towards. But yeah, I'm sorry, like I was gonna email you today too, because I was like, it really did hurt when I dropped it, but I was like, I have to like, but then I actually still have to pay for my classes anyways. Um so even if I did were to take it in the summer, if I do take it for fall, I'm still gonna end up paying for it out of pocket anyways. Um
Okay.
yeah, so I was like, okay, this was one class that I know I can take a little bit later. So that's the only reason why. But I'm like, I've made sure that at least I kept this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
this is a core class, and
yeah.
you know that, and so you definitely would, you know, it was a good choice to make. If you had to drop one, that was a good choice to make. You know.
Yeah, I think because that one was, I think the elective one, right? I believe so. 4, 5, 7. I think the one that I dropped for you, I think that was considered. I think it's still core, but it was one of the electives.
It's an elective, but it does count towards your HCA courses. Like you have to have a certain number of HCA courses, and it counts towards that, and then it also counts for your upper level GE elective.
Yeah,
So, and
that's what.
then you probably have to take 417 maybe also. It's a writing intensive class.
Mhm.
I think everybody has to take that once you pass the GWAR. I think you
Mhm.
have to take 417. I also teach that class, but only in the summer and winter.
Okay, and that's a like an alternative, or is like that one, and then for because I think it's several electives, I believe, right, that I have to take.
Yeah, it's the you. Well, let me see how you have to take one that comes from the. I think it's the D category. I believe that's what it is, and both of those are D category. So typically students take the 457, but you now that 417 has been classified as a writing intensive class,
Mhm.
and I think everybody has to take a writing intensive class.
Okay.
And you don't have to take 417. You could take one in another department, but it would be out of your, you know, like the writing would be out of what you're normally dealing with. You know, like out of your expert area. But it's one of those upper level electives that you can take it from any department that meets that criteria. But if you took it from another department, it wouldn't count towards your HCA electives. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, okay, so yours counts as double, basically, like two categories for
Yeah,
one.
417 has double. Yeah.
Oh, nice. And what is the title for that class?
Ethics, technology and ethics, or ethics and technology. I just know it by the number.
Yeah. No, but you know what? I think that was I would actually really want to do that because that's something that I really want to like get more into. Like as far as like the electives would be like informatics or yeah, like the technical side of, you know, like healthcare. So would I be able to choose that instead of for working around the world, or do I still have to take both basically?
No, I think you know, I'm going to tell you to check with an advisor because
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they're the same category, which
Okay.
means you could select that instead.
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't know about these upper level GE. You know, I would check with an advisor. I know that I have a lot of students that take all three of my classes,
Yeah.
and many. You know.
I bet.
And so I know that you can take all three, and
Mhm.
I don't know how their program is set up. You know, I don't know if you have like a minor, if you're like going to minor in informatics or something, maybe there's a different route to take, you know, for your upper level. I just don't know. So, but I would recommend that you could do a drop in with the CHHS advisors and
Mhm.
check with them.
Okay, I think I'm gonna actually do that today. Then that's a glad I spoke to you because that's a good. I think I do need to do that just so I can get more like my path kind of realigned a little bit. Just and that way I can like upgrade or not upgrade, update. Sorry, my academic planner, and that way I can also add maybe like 417 because I do have to take my GWAR for sure. I think like in April is the next one because the February one was already closed off.
Yeah, one of my students that I have been mentoring since he was in junior high, he told me, and I tend to believe that he knows what he's talking about because he's a straight A student. And he said they told him he had to take the GOR, and then he also had to take a writing intensive class. And he did well on it. So I thought that was strange. I thought if you took the GOR and you did well, that you were done. But apparently, I think you also have to take a writing intensive. But I'm not sure about that, so I want you to verify that.
Okay, I'm gonna write this down and ask about that. But yeah, so thank you. I do apologize. Like, I know it was a tough choice to make, but I had to like be really, realistic with myself. But I hope that, I hope that I can still like, get your guidance.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm here for you, Maya. You're stuck with me from
Okay.
now on past into
Okay.
graduate school and wherever else you may go. So that the fact that you dropped my class, it doesn't hurt my feelings. I just didn't want, I hate to see students do that and then be sorry later because they have to take a class later that would be done,
Yeah.
But I see your thought pattern behind it. And again, because I am the advisor for the student org, I selfishly want to get you involved in that, so I'm okay with it.
Thank you.
So I did Kimberly the same way. I just grabbed her and kept her, so
And she's really good. So I'm like, I can't wait to meet her. And I was like, I told her like you spoke really highly of her, and I was like, I couldn't wait to meet her. Yeah.
She's really a neat person. I love all my students, but we connected really well. And she really, like you, she really works hard and wants to do well,
Yeah. I can't wait to meet her. But thank you so much, Professor Martinez. I'm gonna head out right now real quick because I actually have to go pay my rent.
Okay. Well, you have a good day, and we'll be in touch soon.
I will. And then I'm meeting Eric and Kim on Friday. But I will still follow up with you just to see how everything goes. Because I do truly want to be involved in like the forum and also like UPD, and obviously like still get your mentorship along the way. So I'm gonna for sure be reaching out.
Okay, sounds good. We can, like I told you before, we can set up a time to meet, periodically, and so that you can just touch base. But I'm always available, as you know. You can just say, "Oh man, I'm really struggling with this. Can you just listen to me?" And I'm good with that. Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, and you have a great day.
You too. Take care.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.